Today, we explore a principle of Buddhism that is both simple and profound, the practice of non-force, of living without pushing against life, without forcing outcomes, and without resisting the natural flow of events. This teaching invites us to embrace life as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. Too often, we approach life with a mindset of control. We push ourselves to achieve, to acquire, to influence, and to shape outcomes according to our desires. Yet, Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering arises from this very effort, from the tension created when we resist what is, or when we demand that life unfold according to our will. The Buddha observed that clinging, pushing, or forcing leads to dukkha, a state of dissatisfaction and suffering. It is not the events themselves that bring suffering, but the way we respond to them. When we try to control what is beyond our control, we experience frustration, stress, and inner conflict. Non-force does not mean laziness or passivity. It is not a surrender to fate, nor a denial of effort. Rather, it is effort aligned with wisdom. It is the understanding that some things must unfold in their own time, that growth cannot be rushed, and that attempts to accelerate life often distort it. Consider a seed. No matter how much you push or pull, the seed will grow only when the conditions are right: soil, water, sunlight, and time. Forcing it to grow faster will only damage it. Life operates in the same way. By forcing situations, relationships, or personal outcomes, we create unnecessary tension, disappointment, and even harm. Buddhism encourages us to cultivate patience, acceptance, and trust. Patience allows us to see the natural timing of life. Acceptance allows us to acknowledge reality without resistance. Trust allows us to believe that, when conditions are right, life will unfold as it should. There is a story of a monk who once encountered a farmer struggling to grow crops. The farmer was impatient, pulling at young shoots to make them grow faster. The monk observed quietly and said, "Nature will do its work. Pulling at the sprouts will only harm them." The farmer reluctantly let go, and over time, the field flourished. This simple example illustrates a profound truth: life unfolds in its own time, and our attempts to force it often interfere with its natural rhythm. In our own lives, forcing often takes the form of anxiety over outcomes, impatience with personal growth, or the urge to control others. We push relationships, careers, and circumstances, expecting them to conform to our desires. Yet, each time we do this, we encounter tension. Each time we resist the natural course of events, we meet frustration. The Buddha taught that non-attachment and non-force are essential for inner peace. To practice non-force is to recognize what is within our control: our thoughts, our actions, our intentions, and what is not: the outcomes, the actions of others, the flow of life itself. When we focus on our own mind, our own effort, and release the need to manipulate external circumstances, we align ourselves with the natural order and reduce unnecessary suffering. It is important to note that non-force is not resignation. It is not giving up on goals or abandoning responsibility. It is a shift in perspective, an understanding that while we can act skillfully, we cannot control everything. By acting skillfully and allowing life to unfold, we create harmony rather than tension, clarity rather than confusion, and peace rather than struggle. Non-force encourages mindful effort. We act, but we do not cling to outcomes. We plan, but we accept uncertainty. We strive, but we let go of insistence. This approach leads to effortless action, where our efforts are effective not because we force them, but because they align with the natural flow of circumstances. Consider personal relationships. We often try to force others to respond, to feel, or to act according to our expectations. In doing so, we create tension, resentment, or disappointment. Non-force teaches us to act with kindness, clarity, and patience, and to release the expectation of a particular response. In this way, relationships can grow naturally, harmoniously, and with mutual respect. In our careers, we may push, struggle, and attempt to control every step. We try to force promotions, success, or recognition. Yet, Buddhism shows that this striving often creates unnecessary stress. By focusing on skillful effort and releasing attachment to specific outcomes, we can work effectively while maintaining inner calm. Non-force also applies to personal growth. Many of us struggle with impatience in spiritual practice, learning, or self-improvement. We expect rapid transformation and berate ourselves when it does not happen. Buddhism teaches that growth unfolds gradually, like a river carving a valley over time. By letting go of forceful striving, we allow our development to progress naturally. In essence, non-force is the balance between effort and surrender, action and acceptance, doing and allowing. It is a principle that permeates all aspects of life, our relationships, our work, our personal growth, and our inner peace. As we move forward in this talk, we will explore how to integrate this principle into everyday life. We will examine practical ways to release the need to control, embrace acceptance, and live with patience. We will see that when we stop forcing, we create space for life to unfold beautifully, with clarity, ease, and harmony. Non-force is a gentle strength. It is not about imposing our will on life, but about aligning our will with reality. It is not about passivity, but about wise, patient, and deliberate action. It is a path that leads to inner calm, reduced stress, and a deeper sense of trust in the natural order of existence. As we continue, we turn our attention to one of the most profound teachings in Buddhism, acceptance. Acceptance is the companion of non-force. Where non-force is about how we act in the world, acceptance is about how we relate to what is. Many of us spend our lives resisting reality. We want things to be different than they are. We dwell on past mistakes, worry about the future, and cling to outcomes that may never come. In doing so, we create tension, dissatisfaction, and unnecessary suffering. Buddhism teaches that acceptance is not resignation. It is not giving up, nor is it passivity. Acceptance is seeing things as they are, understanding the truth of impermanence, and recognizing what is within our control and what is not. Imagine a river blocked by a rock. If the water fights the rock, struggles against it, or tries to push it out of the way, it creates turbulence, splashing, and energy wasted. But if the water flows around the rock, it continues its journey smoothly and efficiently. Acceptance works in the same way. When we accept what we cannot change, we conserve our energy and navigate life more effectively. Acceptance allows us to respond to life with clarity rather than reaction. It allows us to engage with challenges without being overwhelmed by frustration or disappointment. It allows us to observe our experiences, understand them, and act wisely when necessary. Letting go is closely tied to acceptance. To truly accept life as it is, we must release attachment to outcomes, attachment to expectations, attachment to how we think life should be. Clinging to these attachments is the root of suffering. Letting go does not mean we stop caring or stop trying. It means we stop forcing life to conform to our desires. Consider personal goals. We may strive for achievement, recognition, or success, but when we attach our happiness to the outcome, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The Buddha taught that contentment comes not from controlling circumstances, but from understanding and embracing them as they are. Letting go also applies to relationships. We often attempt to control others' behavior, opinions, or feelings. This creates tension and sometimes resentment. By practicing acceptance and non-attachment, we allow relationships to develop naturally, respecting the autonomy of others and finding peace within ourselves. There is a story of a monk who cared deeply for a student. The student struggled with learning and often became frustrated. Instead of forcing the student to succeed according to his own timetable, the monk allowed the student to learn at his own pace, offering guidance when necessary but never forcing. Over time, the student flourished. The monk's acceptance created an environment where growth could happen naturally. Acceptance also helps us face life's inevitable difficulties, loss, illness, or disappointment. By acknowledging reality without resistance, we reduce emotional suffering. This does not remove pain, but it allows us to experience it fully and with clarity. In facing life openly, we build resilience, patience, and wisdom. Another practical aspect of acceptance is trusting the natural flow of events. Life unfolds in ways we cannot always predict. By letting go of the need to control every detail, we free ourselves to act skillfully in the moment. We conserve energy, focus our attention, and cultivate inner calm. Buddhism teaches that when we combine non-force with acceptance, we create a harmonious approach to life. Non-force guides our actions, ensuring they are aligned with reality, while acceptance guides our mind, ensuring we are at peace with what is. Together, they form a path towards serenity, clarity, and freedom from unnecessary struggle. Acceptance also fosters humility. When we recognize that life is larger than our desires, larger than our control, we become open to learning, growth, and the guidance of wisdom that comes from understanding the nature of reality. In daily life, practicing acceptance and letting go may look like recognizing that not everything will go according to plan. Releasing resentment toward events or people. Embracing uncertainty is part of the natural order, acting where necessary, but without forcing outcomes. By adopting this approach, we cultivate inner peace, patience, and resilience. We learn to navigate life with wisdom, to respond skillfully rather than react impulsively, and to find joy even amidst uncertainty. Acceptance is, in essence, a form of trust in the unfolding of life. It is a trust that comes from understanding impermanence, from seeing the interconnectedness of all things, and from recognizing the limits of our control. In letting go, we align ourselves with reality rather than against it, and in doing so, we discover the freedom that comes from living without force. As we move forward, we now turn to another essential teaching in Buddhism, patience and equanimity. These qualities are closely connected to non-force and acceptance, providing a mental framework that allows us to navigate life calmly and wisely. Patience, in the Buddhist context, is not simply waiting, it is the ability to endure difficulty without frustration, anger, or resistance. It is the recognition that life unfolds in its own time, that growth, change, and understanding take time, and that we cannot rush the natural course of events. Equanimity, known as upekkha in Pali, is a state of balanced mind, undisturbed by extremes of pleasure or pain, success or failure, praise or criticism. It is the mental clarity that arises when we are neither overly attached to outcomes nor excessively disturbed by difficulties. Consider how often we react impulsively in life. We become angry when things don't go our way, anxious when challenges arise, or frustrated when people fail to meet our expectations. These reactions are signs of impatience and imbalance. Buddhism teaches that cultivating patience and equanimity allows us to respond wisely rather than react impulsively. Patience allows us to let life unfold. It teaches us that forcing events or outcomes is unnecessary and often counterproductive. Equanimity gives us the stability to meet life's ups and downs with a calm mind, preventing suffering caused by attachment or aversion. There is a story of a monk traveling through a village during a storm. People were panicking, seeking shelter, and fretting about the rain and wind. The monk, however, walked calmly, accepting the conditions as they were. He neither resisted the storm nor demanded that it change. His patience and equanimity allowed him to move with clarity, unaffected by fear or frustration, while others around him were caught in chaos. In daily life, patience can manifest in many ways, waiting for personal growth to occur naturally rather than expecting instant results. Allowing relationships to develop at their own pace. Enduring setbacks with grace, without losing focus or composure. Equanimity allows us to maintain balance regardless of circumstances. For example, in a work setting, a promotion may come slowly, or a project may face unexpected obstacles. Equanimity enables us to continue working effectively without being derailed by disappointment or impatience. Together, patience and equanimity create a stable foundation for non-force and acceptance. They provide mental resilience, allowing us to face challenges without being overwhelmed and to navigate life without creating unnecessary tension. Patience also deepens our understanding of impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing. By cultivating patience, we recognize that difficulties, setbacks, and challenges are temporary, and we learn to flow with change rather than resist it. Equanimity encourages detachment from extremes. It does not mean indifference or passivity. Rather, it is a conscious choice to maintain clarity of mind, responding to situations with wisdom and balance rather than with emotional reactivity. Practicing patience and equanimity helps us develop inner calm, reducing stress and agitation. Clarity of judgment, making thoughtful decisions rather than impulsive ones. Emotional resilience, enduring difficulties without losing composure. Harmonious relationships, responding with understanding instead of frustration. In essence, patience and equanimity are the mental companions of non-force and acceptance. While non-force guides our actions and acceptance guides our perception, patience and equanimity stabilize the mind, ensuring that we navigate life with wisdom, balance, and peace. By cultivating these qualities, we create a life where we can act skillfully, embrace reality as it is, and meet each moment with clarity, compassion, and calm. As we continue, we now explore another fundamental Buddhist teaching, non-attachment to results. This principle is closely connected to non-force, acceptance, and patience. It guides us in how to act skillfully in life without clinging to specific outcomes. Many of us invest tremendous energy in achieving goals, gaining recognition, or controlling situations. We plan meticulously, strive endlessly, and worry about outcomes. Yet, Buddhism teaches that attachment to results is a major source of stress and suffering. When we cling to specific outcomes, we create expectations that may not align with reality, and when those expectations are unmet, we experience disappointment, frustration, or even despair. Non-attachment does not mean that we stop caring or cease making effort. It is not laziness, indifference, or avoidance. Instead, it is the understanding that while effort is within our control, results often are not. We act, we strive, and we do our best, but we release the need to control the outcome. Consider a farmer sowing seeds. The farmer waters, tends the soil, and nurtures the plants with care. Yet, the farmer cannot force rain, control the sun, or command the growth of the crops. He does his work diligently and skillfully, but he does not cling to a specific harvest. By focusing on skillful effort rather than attachment to results, he avoids unnecessary frustration and disappointment. In our personal lives, attachment to outcomes can appear in many forms, expecting certain behaviors from others and becoming upset when they do not conform. Thriving for career success and feeling stress when promotions or recognition are delayed. Pursuing personal goals and becoming frustrated when progress is slower than anticipated. Buddhism encourages a shift in focus, from clinging to results to cultivating skillful effort. Skillful effort means acting wisely, with intention and diligence, but without being imprisoned by the need for a specific outcome. It is about doing what is right and appropriate in the present moment, and trusting that the natural flow of life will unfold as it should. There is a story of a young monk assigned to organize a temple event. He worked diligently, yet faced many obstacles beyond his control, weather changes, delays, and miscommunications. Instead of becoming frustrated or forcing perfection, he focused on his effort, attended to each task carefully, and released attachment to the final result. The event was successful, but even if it had not been, the monk's peace of mind remained intact because he had acted skillfully without clinging to the outcome. Non-attachment also applies to spiritual practice. Many practitioners become anxious about achieving enlightenment, reaching a certain level of understanding, or attaining specific insights. This anxiety can hinder growth. Buddhism teaches that progress arises naturally when we focus on consistent practice and sincere effort, without obsessing over results. By releasing attachment to outcomes, we cultivate freedom from unnecessary stress and anxiety. Resilience in the face of setbacks or challenges. Focus on the present moment and the quality of our actions. A deeper trust in the natural unfolding of life. Non-attachment is also closely linked to compassion and relationships. When we release the expectation that others behave or respond in a certain way, we can engage with them more openly, kindly, and without judgment. Relationships flourish when we act with intention, yet let go of rigid expectations. Buddhism teaches that clinging to results often leads to suffering because life is impermanent and unpredictable. Everything is subject to change: our health, relationships, circumstances, and even our own thoughts and feelings. When we accept this impermanence and release attachment, we are free to act with clarity, integrity, and balance. Non-attachment, like non-force, patience, and acceptance, is a principle that harmonizes effort and surrender. It is the understanding that we can act fully and skillfully, while simultaneously trusting the unfolding of life. This balance reduces tension, nurtures peace of mind, and allows us to move through life with confidence and calm. In practical terms, non-attachment to results can be applied by performing work or tasks to the best of your ability without obsessing over the outcome. Engaging in relationships with care and compassion without controlling or forcing others. Pursuing personal growth while trusting that progress happens gradually and naturally. Embracing change and uncertainty as a natural part of life rather than resisting it. When we practice non-attachment, we experience life more fully. We act wisely in the present, free from the burden of expectations. Our energy is directed towards skillful action, not wasted on worry or frustration. Our minds become clearer, calmer, and more resilient. Now, we arrive at the final teaching for today, the art of flowing with life. This principle brings together everything we have discussed so far: non-force, acceptance, patience, equanimity, and non-attachment, and shows us how to live in harmony with the natural rhythm of existence. Flowing with life does not mean passivity or inaction. It means aligning our efforts and intentions with the natural course of events, rather than forcing, resisting, or clinging. It is the understanding that life is a dynamic process, constantly changing, and that our happiness depends on our ability to move gracefully within that process. Imagine a river flowing toward the ocean. It encounters rocks, bends, and obstacles. The water does not stop or fight. It adjusts, adapts, and continues its journey. In the same way, life presents challenges, unexpected events, and obstacles. By flowing with life, we learn to navigate these experiences with flexibility, calm, and wisdom. Flowing with life requires trust. Trust that the conditions of life are unfolding as they should. Trust in our own capacity to respond skillfully to challenges. Trust that effort, when aligned with wisdom, produces results in its own time. This principle also emphasizes letting go of control over the uncontrollable. We can influence, guide, and act with intention, but we cannot dictate every outcome. When we release the illusion of total control, we free ourselves from frustration, disappointment, and suffering. Consider relationships. We may wish for others to behave in a certain way, to feel a certain way, or to act according to our expectations. Flowing with life encourages us to engage with others authentically while accepting that their paths, choices, and experiences are beyond our control. This approach fosters mutual respect, understanding, and harmonious connections. In the workplace, flowing with life means performing our duties with diligence and integrity while acknowledging that outcomes are shaped by many factors beyond our influence. We focus on what we can do well and let go of anxiety about results, timing, or recognition. Flowing with life is also essential for personal growth. Change often occurs gradually and in unexpected ways. By resisting or forcing transformation, we create tension and block natural progress. By aligning with the flow of life, we allow learning, insight, and growth to emerge organically. There is a story of a monk who traveled through a village during the harvest season. The villagers were busy, anxious, and stressed, trying to control every aspect of the harvest. The monk walked calmly, observing and participating when needed, but never forcing. At the end of the season, his contributions were harmonious with the natural rhythm of the work, and he achieved much more than those who tried to force outcomes. Flowing with life also cultivates resilience. Life is unpredictable, and hardships are inevitable. Those who resist or fight every change experience unnecessary suffering. Those who flow with life, however, learn to adapt, recover, and maintain inner calm despite challenges. To live in flow, we integrate the principles we have discussed, non-force, act skillfully without pushing against the natural order. Acceptance, acknowledge reality as it is, without resistance. Patience and equanimity, endure difficulties without frustration or agitation. Non-attachment, release expectations and trust in the unfolding process. By practicing these principles together, we create a life that is harmonious, peaceful, and wise. Flowing with life is not about passivity, it is about acting with clarity, intention, and alignment. It is about moving through the world with ease, adapting to circumstances, and allowing life to unfold naturally. In daily life, flowing with life can be applied by responding to challenges without resistance or frustration, letting go of rigid expectations in relationships, work, and personal goals, trusting that growth and change occur in their own time, acting with diligence, kindness, and clarity while releasing the need to control outcomes. When we truly flow with life, we experience freedom, peace, and harmony. Our energy is spent wisely, our minds remain calm, and our hearts are open. We no longer struggle against the natural rhythms of existence, and we can fully embrace each moment as it arises. Flowing with life is the culmination of Buddhist wisdom in action. It integrates understanding, effort, patience, and trust, and it allows us to live fully, freely, and joyfully.